When I was a beginner at hard surface modeling, I would commonly run into issues like this, where I want a little tiny cutout, like you can see here, with these little gaps going around the base mesh. Now, when I was first starting as well, what I would usually do is I would add in my base mesh, like so, just give it some nice smoothing, and then some auto smooth there. And then I would just add in my cutter object, say for example a cube. Just kind of choose the area I want to cut out, let's say this area. And if I wanted to get that nice little effect where we have those gaps going in with a tiny little cut, what I used to do was I would just add in a cube or whatever object matches the best, and then just try my best to fit it right inside of that area just so it's a little bit smaller, just so it kind of looks like we have that cut out. And as you can see in this case, it looks okay, it doesn't look terrible, it kind of gets the job done. But having to do this in every situation and do it manually is very inefficient, and it's much better to allow Blender to automate this. Not to mention there's some situations like this where it just doesn't match the overall curvature of the object. So to get some nice cuts that look like this, we can use the slice operation. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn off this collection. We'll start fresh. I'm going to start with a cylinder, so I'll press Shift A, go to cylinder. I'll add some smooth shading by right clicking, and then under the object data panel we can turn on auto smooth. And now what we want to do is duplicate this base mesh right here. So I'm just gonna press Shift D, right click to duplicate, and for that duplicated object I'll just rename it to something like DUP for duplication, and I'll just turn that one off for now. So right now we have our base mesh and we want to add in our cutter objects. So I'm gonna press Shift A. We'll add in our first cutter object, which will be a cube. I think I'll cut out somewhere in the middle here. And then for the second cutter, I'll duplicate this cube, and I'll make the second cutout here near the top, like so. And since we're going to be doing two different cutouts, I might as well join these two cubes together with Control J. And now you want to make sure in your user preferences the Bool tool add-on is enabled. This will just expedite the workflow. So if we select our cutter object and then hold Shift and select our base object, if we press Control minus, this is going to give us a nice difference boolean here. So already we're halfway done. Our next goal is to get that piece filled back in, but with a little gap going on. And to do that, we're going to turn on our duplication cylinder, and we'll turn off the main cylinder that we just cut out like this. So now we're back to step one basically, and we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to select our cutter object, hold Shift and select our duplicate cylinder here, and if we press Control minus, it's going to add another cut, but this time I'm going to change from difference over to intersect. And what this is going to do is it's going to create those cutter pieces that we wanted. So now if we turn back on our original cylinder, you're going to see that we have the exact effect that we were going for. So this is a very important strategy in the non-destructive workflow. At this point you can select your cutter and then hide them. You don't need that anymore. And just like real world objects have, we need a little bit of a bevel. Every single object in the real world has a little bit of a bevel that reflects a little bit of light off the corners, and we can duplicate that effect by selecting the main cylinder here, add a bevel modifier, and I'll change the limit method here to angle, like so. Add maybe 3 segments, we can adjust the width, and then just get a very slight bevel going on, almost like a cavity right there. We'll do the same thing for this little cutout piece. We'll add a bevel modifier, give it 3 segments, and then make it just very slight there at the corners, and we'll turn this one to a limit method of angle as well. And to get rid of this ugly shading, if we select the cylinder and tick on harden normals, that's going to get rid of that ugly shading. So basically what we have here is a nice cutout using the slice operation. Super easy and very beneficial for hard surface modeling. So I hope this video helped you out, and I hope you can incorporate this technique into your workflow.